In the mid-2000s, G-Unit wasn't just a rap group, it was a corporate empire. Under the leadership of 50 Cent, it was a multi-million-dollar machine that seemed bulletproof. But within that fortress, a civil war was ignited that would not only fracture the group, but become one of the defining conflicts of mid-2000s mainstream hip-hop. This wasn't just a clash of personalities, it was a systemic collapse triggered by an aftermath partnership that turned sour. Today, we go inside the specific events, the dates, and the broken loyalties that dismantled the G-Unit dynasty. This is Hip Hop History Vault. To understand the end, we must analyze the beginning. In 2003, the music industry was operating under the 50 Cent phenomenon. Following the massive success of Get Rich or Die Trying, the label heads, specifically Dr. Dre at Aftermath and Jimmy Iovine at Interscope, realized they needed to sustain this momentum. Their strategy was to create a bridge between the East and the West. Enter Jayceon Taylor, known to the world as The Game. In 2003, after surviving a near-fatal shooting, Game was signed to Aftermath Entertainment. However, the business arrangement was complex. While Game was officially signed to Aftermath Entertainment under Interscope, he was heavily promoted alongside G-Unit as part of 50 Cent's growing movement. The strategy was genius on paper, utilized 50 Cent's unparalleled marketing machine and lyrical hook writing ability to elevate a talented, hungry storyteller from Compton. The debut album, The Documentary, released on January 18, 2005, was the ultimate proof of concept. With massive tracks like How We Do and Hate It or Love It, the album debuted at #1 and went multi-platinum. But while the record sold, the foundation was cracking. The deal wasn't just about music, it was about branding and allegiance. G-Unit was known for its strong internal loyalty, where members were generally expected to publicly support the group's unified stance. And Game was proving to be a soldier who had his own ideas. By mid-2004, the friction was undeniable. 50 Cent had developed a unique business philosophy, total alignment. In the G-Unit ecosystem, you didn't just align with the business, you aligned with the vendettas. If 50 Cent had a problem with the rapper, whether it was Fat Joe, Nas, or Ja Rule, the entire G-Unit roster was expected to adopt that stance. The Game, however, was a student of hip-hop history. He had a deep appreciation for the West Coast legends, including Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. But he also had respect for figures that 50 was actively trying to destroy. By early 2005, tensions had become increasingly visible behind the scenes. According to multiple interviews from both camps, 50 Cent expected the Game to publicly distance himself from rivals such as Fat Joe and Nas. Game refused, viewing this as unnecessary, given that he had no personal beef with those artists.
If 50 does a record about Jadakiss and Fat Joe, what does that mean for you?
I'm not getting in that.
You're not gonna get into that?
No. Jadakiss is a good friend of mine, and I've had a chance to meet and talk with Fat Joe on several occasions, and I think that they're perfectly good dudes. I'm not jumping in the middle of that.
For 50 Cent, this wasn't just a disagreement, it was an act of subordination. 50 felt he had built Game through his songwriting and promotion, and thus felt entitled to control his narrative. Game felt he had earned his spot through talent and was unwilling to be a pawn in 50's personal crusades. February 28, 2005 is etched in hip-hop history as the day the dream died. 50 Cent, appearing on New York's powerhouse station, Hot 97, for a sit-down interview, decided to take the boardroom conflict to the public square. Live on air, 50 Cent delivered an ultimatum that shifted the culture forever. He publicly declared that the Game was no longer a member of G-Unit.
How much I've done for him, you know, personally, you know what I'm saying?
So where does he stand as far as G-Unit is concerned right now?
Across the street or around the corner. He's not in my camp.
Not at all?
No way.
Okay.
Not after being that disrespectful.
He accused Game of being ungrateful, disloyal, and claiming that he had written the vast majority of the documentary. He sought to invalidate Game's artistic contributions, portraying him as merely a product of the 50 Cent machine. The reaction was instantaneous. Hours later, the conflicts migrated from from the airwaves to the streets. The Game and his entourage arrived at the Hot 97 studios in Manhattan to confront 50. What ensued was a chaotic confrontation outside the building that resulted in gunfire. While no one was killed, the imagery of the G-Unit brand involved in a public shootout, pitting its own members against each other, devastated the group's corporate image. Interscope Records and Aftermath were forced to intervene to stop the bleeding, but the cultural impact was irreversible. The incident significantly damaged the image of G-Unit's unity and raised concerns about the stability of the group's future. The response from the Game was surgical and relentless. In the months that followed, he released the legendary freestyle, 300 Bars and Running. This 15-minute lyrical assault was a watershed moment in the beef. Game attacked 50 on every front. He mocked 50's songwriting, questioned his street authenticity, and painted 50 as a manipulative corporate executive rather than a true leader. G-Unit attempted to retaliate with 50 and the remaining members, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and Young Buck, firing back on various tracks. Although G-Unit responded with several diss tracks, public attention increasingly focused on the breakdown of the relationship rather than the music itself. The public didn't just want diss tracks, they wanted to know why the empire was falling. This conflict did immense damage to the aura of invincibility that G-Unit had spent years cultivating. By treating his artists like employees rather than partners, 50 inadvertently caused a psychological rift among the remaining members. If the star pupil could be discarded on live radio, what was the status of the rest? It fostered a culture of paranoia and instability within the group. The focus shifted from collective success to individual self-preservation. In the years following 2005, the effects of the Aftermath beef acted as a slow poison. The collective projects that once dominated the charts, projects like Beg for Mercy, became harder to produce. The internal politics meant that G-Unit started spending more energy managing its internal drama than expanding its musical footprint. When Young Buck was eventually exiled from G-Unit and the internal disputes became public, it was clear that the unified front narrative was entirely dead.
But you still giving them a chance, though. Like, you still putting them on records.
I was giving them a chance, giving them the benefit of the doubt then, but you know, you could take this as official notice right here. Pretty much you could say Young Buck is no longer in the group G-Unit, but signed to G-Unit as a solo artist.
The beef with the Game had set a precedent. If you disagreed with 50, you were out. This created a revolving door at the label. By the time the late 2000s rolled around, the G-Unit name, which had been one of the most influential and commercially successful brands in hip-hop, had lost its mystique. The industry moved on, and the focus shifted toward new sounds and new collectives. The irony was that the very man who brought G-Unit to the top, 50 Cent, had also presided over the structural choices that dismantled it. When we look back at the G-Unit era, the beef with the Game serves as the defining turning point. It is a textbook case study in the dangers of combining unchecked ego with rigid authoritarian business structures in an artistic field. The industry learned that loyalty in hip-hop isn't a commodity that can be bought or mandated through contracts. It is built through mutual respect. When 50 Cent opted for control over partnership, he guaranteed the eventual implosion of his own brand. The Game, on the other hand, successfully parlayed the beef into a long-standing, respected solo career in the West, eventually becoming a staple of Compton hip-hop. The G-Unit empire fell, but the story of how it happened remains a vital lesson for every creator in the industry. The rise and fall of G-Unit is more than just hip-hop gossip. It's a masterclass in how fragile success truly is when the foundation is built on fear rather than consensus. The Aftermath beef was the catalyst, but the structural flaws had been there all along. What do you think? Did the G-Unit brand have a chance to survive if 50 had handled the situation differently, or was the implosion inevitable? Let us know in the comments below. If you appreciate deep dive history like this, make sure to subscribe to Hip Hop History Vault and turn on those notifications so you never miss a chapter. We are digging into the biggest stories in the culture every single week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.